Not all fast food milkshakes are created equal, and some are barely even milkshakes at all. In fast food shakes ranked worst to best, we're pulling back the lid on why industry icons keep serving up so many disappointments, from Burger King's texture roulette, to McDonald's shake label sidestep, to Wendy's iconic Frosty living in a milkshake identity crisis. When even the basics are broken, you have to wonder, how did this shake game get so inconsistent, and which chain actually nails it? The answers might challenge everything you thought you knew about your favorite drive-thru treat. So, which shake should you trust with your next craving, and which one deserves a hard pass? Let's find out. Number 12, Burger King. Burger King's shake program is a masterclass in unpredictability. One day you get a cup so thin it sloshes around like vanilla milk. The next, it's thick enough to clog a straw and make you question your dental insurance. The baseline flavors are as classic as they come: vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. But the only thing you can count on is that you can't count on them. Some locations hand you a shake that's more like a melted sundae. Others serve up a budget-friendly cup that's actually drinkable, at least for the first 5 minutes before it turns into a sugar soup. The problem isn't the price. For under $3, you get a decent-sized shake that looks like a steal on paper. The issue is that you're rolling the dice every time you order. There's no telling if you'll get a creamy, cold treat or something so watery it could double as a sad protein shake. The texture swings are legendary. One reviewer called it almost twice the price of McDonald's and half as good. That's not a compliment. Machine maintenance is all over the map. Some franchises keep their Taylor soft-serve machines humming. Others let them limp along until every shake comes out lukewarm and thin. Even the so-called hand-spun shakes can't escape this fate. It's not just a bad day at one store, it's a nationwide gamble. For a chain with this much reach, you'd expect at least a little reliability. Instead, Burger King's shake is the fast food equivalent of flipping a coin and hoping for dessert. There's value, sure, but only if you're betting on disappointment. Number 11, McDonald's. The gold standard for fast food consistency, but not exactly for milkshake greatness. Order a McDonald's shake anywhere in America, and you'll get the same cup every time. Medium thick, faintly sweet, and engineered to be drinkable before you're out of the parking lot. That uniformity isn't an accident. McDonald's calls them shakes, not milkshakes, sidestepping a web of dairy laws that would require more cream, more fat, and, honestly, more flavor. What you are sipping is a blend of reduced fat soft serve, shake syrup, and a swirl of whipped cream. Just enough to check the boxes, but not enough to fool anyone who's tasted real ice cream. The flavor is balanced, but only if you set your expectations to vanilla adjacent. Chocolate and strawberry follow the same pattern, pleasant, but dialed back to avoid offending anyone. There's a reason you never hear about someone making a late-night run just for a McDonald's shake. It's the industrial baseline, the control group in every taste test. Reliable, yes. Memorable? Not so much. But the real trick is in the delivery. These shakes are built for speed, medium thick, never so dense you'll need a spoon, and always ready in under a minute. That reliability is what sets McDonald's apart from chains where you're rolling the dice with every order. Even the seasonal Shamrock Shake, a minty green icon since 1970, is more about nostalgia than dairy richness. Still, it did help fund the first Ronald McDonald House in 1974, which gives it a legacy no other shake can claim. If you want a shake that's the same in every zip code, McDonald's has you covered, just don't expect to remember it after the last sip. Number 10, Wendy's Frosty. Here's where the shake lineup takes a left turn into nostalgia and a little bit of category chaos. The Frosty isn't a shake, it isn't quite soft serve either. It sits in that strange, lovable middle ground, spoonable at first, with a texture that laughs at the idea of a straw. That's not an accident. Back in 1969, Dave Thomas wanted a frozen treat thick enough to stand up to a burger and fries, so he called in Fred Kappas to engineer a dessert that was part chocolate malt, part vanilla, and all about childhood memories. The result? A blend so dense and malty, It's practically a rite of passage to dip your fries in it. But here's the catch: try sipping a Frosty through a straw, and you'll be waiting until next Tuesday. It's designed for a spoon, with a texture that stays thick even as it warms. The flavor leans into cocoa and malt, with a vanilla backbone that's more subtle than most. There's no whipped cream, no cherry, no distractions, just a straightforward, gently sweet frozen dessert that feels like the last honest thing on a fast food menu. Value-wise, the Frosty punches above its weight. Portions are generous, and the price is usually lower than what you'd pay for a true milkshake at a premium chain. But for all its charm, the Frosty breaks the rules of this ranking. It's not a milkshake by any technical standard, and yet it's impossible to ignore. Call it an icon, call it an imposter. Either way, it closes out the bottom tier by reminding us that sometimes the best frozen treats don't fit into neat little boxes. Number 9. Sonic Drive-In. Sonic's shake menu reads like a candy aisle exploded. Classic chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla, but also peanut butter, cheesecake, and every mix-in you can imagine. The promise sounds great: old-school drive-in nostalgia with a side of wild flavor combinations. But the reality? It's a blend of excitement and frustration, literally. The biggest problem is what happens between the blender and the bottom of the cup. Order a shake with candy, and half the mix-ins sink to the bottom in a dense, sticky layer, while the top turns into a thin, overly sweet soup. Some days you get a thick, creamy shake that actually holds its own. Other days, the texture is so runny you could mistake it for melted ice cream. The settling isn't just a minor annoyance, it's a full-on candy sludge situation that ruins the straw experience and leaves you fishing with a spoon. Technique matters here, and not every Sonic crew member is a shake whisperer. Training manuals call for a splash of half and half and a careful blend, but in practice, the balance gets lost. The result is a shake that's only as good as the person working the blender, which means you're gambling with every order. That's a shame, because the prices are fair and the portion sizes are generous, especially during happy hour. But when every sip is a toss-up between creamy nostalgia and sugar overload, the variety starts to feel like a trap. Number 8. Dairy Queen. DQ's shakes and malts are the workhorses of the frozen treat world. Reliable, familiar, and built for speed. The base is their signature soft serve, spun with classic syrups, and if you're feeling bold, a scoop of malted milk powder. The result is a shake that's lighter than Custard chains, but still thick enough to require a little effort from your straw. Malt fans get a toasted, nutty kick that adds depth, but too much syrup can tip the whole thing into syrupy territory, especially if the hand mix is rushed. Consistency depends on the person behind the counter and how carefully they balance syrup, soft serve, and malt. When it's right, you get a clean dairy flavor with just enough sweetness to keep things interesting. When it's off, you're left with a runny, sugar-forward drink that feels like a blizzard's forgotten cousin. DQ's value comes from broad sizes and the confidence that, even with the occasional misfire, you're getting a frozen treat from the people who practically invented the category. But in a world where mix-in chaos and syrup imbalance can tank your treat, it's clear why the next tier needs tighter execution. Number 7. Arby's. Arby's Jamocha Shake doesn't just fill a menu slot, it's the personality hire of the fast food shake world. While most chains play it safe with vanilla, chocolate, or strawberry, Arby's leans hard into coffee territory, blending instant coffee powder with chocolate for a flavor that's more cafe than candy aisle. The caffeine content is mild, about 11 milligrams in a regular cup, so you're not getting a jolt, just a gentle nudge of roastiness that sets it apart from the usual sugar parade. The texture lands right in the Goldilocks zone, thick enough to require some effort, but never so dense you're fighting the straw. The Jamocha's secret weapon is restraint. The sweetness never bulldozes the coffee, and the finish is clean, not syrupy. It's the rare fast food shake you could actually crave alongside a roast beef sandwich, not just as a sugar bomb dessert. Number 6. Five Guys. This is where the shake game turns into a full-blown science experiment. Five Guys doesn't just hand you a shake, they hand you the controls. Start with a rich vanilla base, then add anything from peanut butter to Oreo to salted caramel. But the real wild card is bacon. That's right, you can toss a strip of bacon into your milkshake with zero upcharge. Every mix-in is free, and with 10 options on deck, the math says there are over 1,000 possible combinations. If you want to build a chocolate, coffee, malted banana bacon monstrosity, nobody will stop you. The result is a shake that can be as simple or as extra as you want. The texture leans thick, sometimes almost heavy if you get greedy with the add-ins. But the flavor is always bold, never bland. Go too far though, and you risk turning your shake into a dense, drinkable brick. It's a high-wire act between creativity and chaos. Rolling in at number 5, Chick-fil-A. Here, it's all about restraint and timing. The default shakes are smooth, straw-friendly, and taste like actual dairy, not just sugar. Vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, and cookies and cream all hit the basics, but the real hype comes every summer when the peach milkshake returns. First launched in 2009 and now on its 16th run, the peach shake is a southern rite of passage. Fans track the release date like it's a holiday, and for good reason. The flavor is clean, bright, and loaded with real fruit. But there's a catch. These shakes have a short travel window. Wait too long, and you're left with a melted puddle and a memory of what could have been. Value lands in the mid-premium zone, but the quality backs it up. Chick-fil-A's shakes don't overwhelm with mix-ins or sugar bombs. They let the dairy and the fruit do the talking. And when the seasonals land, they steal the spotlight from just about everyone else. On one end, you've got Five Guys, where the only limit is your own self-control. On the other, Chick-fil-A, proving that sometimes less is more, until it's peach season, and then it's game on. Number 4, Cookout. Here's where the shake ranking turns into a choose-your-own-adventure. Cookout doesn't just offer shakes, they throw down a gauntlet with over 40 flavors, from banana pudding to seasonal watermelon. It's the Southern Milkshake Buffet, and the mix and match possibilities are endless. But this isn't just about quantity. The texture is chunk forward. Think spoonfuls of real strawberries, or hunks of peanut butter cookie, not blended to oblivion paste. That means every shake is a bit of a project. You might need to alternate between straw and spoon, and no two sips are exactly the same. The trade-off is flavor clarity. When Cookout says cherry cobbler, you'll find actual bits of cobbler in there, not just a pink syrup swirl. Prices stay shockingly reasonable for the amount of real mix-ins you get, and the regional cult following proves that novelty, when backed by quality, can beat out national chains with bigger marketing budgets. What ties these two together isn't just their boldness, it's the way they turn a simple shake into a signature move. Arby's Jamocha delivers coffee shop flavor in a drive-through cup, while Cookout's endless lineup turns every visit into a flavor experiment. In a world of vanilla sameness, these are the chains that win loyalty by daring to stand out. Number 3, Freddy's Frozen Custard. This is where the milkshake ranking hits a different gear. Freddy's doesn't just make shakes, they make custard shakes, and that's a whole new ballgame. Here's the secret. The FDA only lets you call it frozen custard if it's got at least 1.4% egg yolk by weight. That egg yolk is the reason Freddy's shakes come out dense, silky, and somehow still straw-friendly, like someone figured out how to bottle the perfect middle ground between soft serve and gelato. The texture is the first thing you notice. It's not the kind of shake that collapses into a puddle before you've left the drive-thru. Instead, it holds its shape, slides up the straw with a gentle pull, and coats your mouth with a creamy richness that regular ice cream just can't touch. That's the magic of custard. Less air, more body, and a flavor that carries real dairy depth. Vanilla and chocolate don't get lost in a sea of sugar or fake syrup. They actually taste like the things they're named after. Freddy's doesn't overload the cup with toppings or chase wild mix-ins. Instead, the focus is on clarity, thick, custard-forward shakes that let the eggy base shine. While some chains cut corners with thickeners and stabilizers, Freddy's leans on the science of custard: slow churn, high density, and just enough egg yolk to make every sip feel like a small luxury. It's the kind of shake that reminds you why the top tier is reserved for chains that treat dairy like an art form. Number 2, Culver's. This is where shake making turns into a science and a bit of a spectacle. Walk into any Culver's and you'll spot the custard machines right behind the counter, working overtime. The secret? They're churning fresh frozen custard in small batches, all day, every day. Not once or twice, but on a strict 2-hour cycle. Every batch gets swapped out before it even has a chance to think about getting icy or stale. That means what lands in your cup was likely made less than 2 hours ago, sometimes within minutes. The batch size is just big enough to keep up with the lunch rush, but small enough that staff are constantly refilling, keeping the product at its creamy best. The texture is pure velvet, dense, cold, and impossibly smooth. There's no chalky aftertaste, no freezer burn, no weird air pockets, just a lush, custardy shake that holds together from the first sip to the last. That's not by accident. Culver's serves their custard at 18 to 21 degrees, warmer than typical ice cream, so the flavor stands out and the texture never freezes your palate. The difference is obvious the second it hits your tongue: rich dairy, real vanilla, and a mouthfeel that's more silk than slush. But what really sets Culver's apart is where that dairy comes from. Every drop traces back to Wisconsin family farms, multi-generation operations that have supplied Culver's for decades. Cows are milked 3 times a day, the milk is tested and chilled on the farm, then trucked out for processing, and it's in the restaurant's machines within 48 hours. That's not just a marketing line, it's the backbone of their flavor. The result is a shake that tastes like it was made on a dairy farm, not in a factory. Portion sizes are generous, and the body holds up even if you take it to go. If you want a shake that delivers true dairy depth and a texture you can't fake, Culver's sets the bar. This is what happens when a chain treats every batch like it matters. Number 1, Shake Shack. This is where the milkshake game hits its final form. Shake Shack's shakes aren't just dessert, they're a flex. The base is frozen custard, churned fresh in every shack, every day. That means real eggs, real sugar, real vanilla, and a texture so smooth it feels engineered for the perfect straw pull. There's no weird aftertaste, no chemical tang, just dense, creamy custard that coats your tongue and actually tastes like what it says on the cup. But Shake Shack doesn't stop at the basics. The seasonal specials and collaborations, think milk bar tie-ins or limited edition flavors, show off a level of creativity that most chains can't even dream about. One month it's a cornflake chocolate drizzle, the next it's a cherry blossom shake that actually tastes like the real thing, not just pink syrup. Every limited run gets the same attention to detail as the vanilla staple, with real ingredients and a flavor profile that's more chef-driven than fast food. The consistency is flawless. Every cup is dense but still drinkable, holding its body from the first sip to the last drop, even if you get stuck in traffic. The price tag is premium, usually north of $6 after tax, but what you're paying for is a shake that feels like a treat, not an afterthought. It's the kind of shake that justifies its own trip, the one you remember long after the cup is empty. Shake Shack doesn't just win on quality, it wins on originality, execution, and the kind of flavor fidelity that makes every other chain feel like they're playing catch-up. This is what happens when a chain treats a milkshake like a craft project, not a side hustle. Across more than 40 flavors, 12 chains, and decades of fast food history, this ranking has revealed a simple truth. Ingredient quality and process consistency decide who leads and who lags. McDonald still calls its drinks shakes instead of milkshakes due to state dairy laws, while Burger King's texture fluctuates from store to store. In contrast, Culver's fresh churned custard is made multiple times daily, and Shake Shack crafts its frozen custard in-house for every order. Despite these facts, some questions remain, like why major brands have not standardized texture nationwide, or how regional favorites might challenge top-tier chains if given broader reach. Documented differences in mix-in policies, travel windows, and pricing show that convenience, nostalgia, and innovation all shape the shake landscape. The evidence is clear. In fast food, true excellence is measured one spoonful at a time, and the top spot goes to those who combine premium ingredients with consistent execution.